You know, I kind of wanted to look a little bit cute for this video because we're talking about some dark academia stuff. So, you know, I wanted that kind of aesthetic flair. But I also just came back from beach volleyball. So I'm a mess. Like a lot of the main characters in this book. What is up, you guys? It's me, your girl, your Casey. I have no idea how I'm going to review this book because the plot is this much of the book, and the rest of it is all the crazy characters. But first off, my relationship with Donna Tart is nothing but love. Love, love, love. Gosh, love. I actually read The Goldfinch first, and I loved it. I think The Goldfinch was written like 2014, maybe? I don't know. It was a secret history written like the early 2000s. Like, Donna Tart takes forever to write, but when she writes right. Typically, I'm not someone who reads a book for prose. Like, I want story. That's what I'm obsessed with. Story and good characters. But Donna Tart's writing style, oh my gosh. When I think about it, the analogy that comes to mind is simply breathing. Her books are like breathing because Donna Tart packs in a ton of stuff. Mega tons of content. Like paragraphs upon paragraphs of just describing one thing, and it doesn't come across as rambling at all. Like breathing, it's a simple action, like reading this book, but you know you're inhaling a bunch in that one breath. You got some hydrogen, some oxygen, some dust particles, you know, maybe like a spider or two when you're sound asleep at night. Statistically, that's very likely. There, I kind of got my beach wave thing going on right here. In case you're wondering, I won in beach volleyball. But Donna Tart, oh my gosh, she can ramble without making it sound like she's rambling. So typically, I don't like books set in New York City. I'm like, oh, of course, everything's set in New York City because it's so cool. But when I read The Goldfinch, which is set in New York City, she made it sound so homey and quaint. Like, she didn't take us to the big, you know, typical monuments of New York City. She took us to the back alleys, the secret sides of it that gave it like a real different face than I was accustomed to. One of the ratings for my 5-star rating system is writing style, and Donna Tart like automatically gets that with every book. She's just so good. Can't mention that enough. That's like the main part, the main draw of her writing glory. Because I'm telling you, for a book like this, A Secret History, there is no plot. Well, okay, 10% blot? No. 10% plot and 90% just look at that maple tree. It's gorgeous. Scenery and setting, we got it. So if you really like that autumn, New Englandish atmosphere, college setting, all that dark academia stuff, this is definitely it. What's The Secret History about? Okay. It's about our main protagonist, Richard. Now, to be fair, I forgot this guy's name all the time because Richard doesn't really have that much of a personality. He's more like a vehicle for us to get into so we can just watch the events of this book take place. And Richard, he's from California and he's lived a mad life. He's doing like a doctor degree, whatever. He's hating all of his science classes. He doesn't even know why he picked this degree in the first place. But then, chance so has it that he finds his brochure for Hampton College. He puts in his application and he gets accepted. And Richard, he's like us, you know, college student. Doesn't really know what he wants from the world yet. He's not even sure what he wants his degree to be in this new college. But when he gets there, he finds out that there's this Greek program going on. And it's a very exclusive, tight-knit program. Our boy Richard, he does speak Greek. It's one of the few things he's actually good at. And so I was like, hey, let me apply to this thing. So he manages to get into the program, led by a charismatic, very interesting professor whose classes are very unconventional, more discussion-y and Greek-y. This professor is very particular. He only teaches like 5 people at a maximum. He made an exception for Richard because he's so great at Greek already. But as I said, Richard is nothing much. We're mostly in him so we can see these other 5 people because they nutso. Nuts. I've never seen a collection, a medley of people so different from each other and just so shady. So intelligent, yet so stupid at the same time. In this group, we have the twins, Charles and Camilla, very old-timey English. Everyone in this book is old-timey English. Okay, I read some valid Goodreads reviews about how weird the dialogue is in this book because all guys and girls are like, oh, hello there, old chum, how you doing, my boy? Pip, pippin, cheerio, all that. Literally, I'm hardly paraphrasing or making this up. One of the guys in our group, his name is Francis, and I really liked him. He's like my second favorite character. He wears one of those things, the pince-nez, whatever it's called, and it's weird. I've never once in my life seen someone wear one of those. He also has like this trademark long black coat, so I see him in my mind as a Ginger Octagawa from Bungo Stray Dogs with a pince-nez. We have my favorite character, Henry, who's like this big, moody dude, the leader of the group. He's definitely the shady one to look out for. And rounding off the group of 5, we have Bunny. Now, if you've read the first line of this book, you know Bunny is slated to die. Like, no spoilers. First chapter is, we killed this guy. We're covering it up now. So yeah, that's the plot. Actually, before the plot even begins, we have to move from California to Vermont, get into the college, then we have to get into the Greek program, then we have to be properly introduced into the Freakish Five, so these people are weirdos. Then we gotta build some relationships between them. Then the tension has to grow, you know, the motivation on why we're gonna kill Bunny later on, and then it has to actually happen. Then we gotta cover it up. You know, that's a good plot right there. And Donna Tart did a really good job on making Bunny a character you simultaneously hate and feel sympathetic towards. He's like a really loud, obnoxious golden retriever, but they're golden retrievers. They're super cute. But yeah, if you are a plot-driven reader, you won't like this book, I assure you. Maybe you'll stay for the prose, but you gotta cling onto it. Cling. Because the gears of this story, the pacing, the plot, it don't start moving until like page 170. That's when we start getting, oh, this is why this is happening. When stuff is starting to be explained and you're like peeking behind the curtains of these seemingly really perfect people, this group of 5 Greek students, because they look like basically demigods on the campus. People always look at them and be like, wow, oh my gosh, look at them, they're perfect. But you know, behind the curtains, a little shadiness happening. This book literally took forever to read, and I loved this book. It was a 4 stars, but it took me forever to read because 1, it's tiny font in a chunky book. So it just naturally takes longer to read each page. And also, it's dense and it's got all that prose, and I love it, but you know, I want to savor it, so I'm reading a bit slower. I think what's really struck me the most about this book, because it's kind of hard to review it. I can tell you how pretty it sounds. The plot is literally, hey, we're covering up this murder that's revealed in the first sentence of the book, so we already know what the plot is. That just leaves the characters. But there's so many lies and secrets in this book that it's kind of impossible to tell who these characters really are. Chiefly what blows my mind about this book is how many rules it breaks. Like showing and telling. Like obviously I said her prose is phenomenal, so that's great. When it's like that narrator-ish description, you know, just setting the setting, that's fine. Perfectly fine there. But because everyone in this book is lying to each other, we don't get the showing there. We have to have another character literally grab us, Richard, the character, the main character, and then our info dumping side character has to point out exactly what's going on with that character, which is literally telling, instead of us seeing what's really going on. But it makes sense, because everyone in this book is crazy. The back summary of the book mentions how the professor helps to or rather, doesn't help. He instigates this spiral in his students from indifference, you know, like just morally gray to just kind of deeper grays, probably to actually kind of close to real evil. And so watching that character interaction and what's gotten these people to that low point, and also seeing their the way their characters and basically actually their sanity is kind of stretched in this book because of what they've done to Bunny, because we don't have a hero arc in this book. Well, we kind of do, but it's the opposite. We just go in deeper. Watching it happening in a really realistic way, it was fascinating. Because I think there's a quote out there, and I'm gonna mess it up, but it's basically evil prospers when good men do nothing, indifference. I think this book is just about how indifferent someone can be when their own goals are threatened by someone else's, and just how easy it is to put on a charade. Did I say charade? I think I meant to say charade and facade at the same time. But one of the main points of this book, and Richard says this himself in one of his deepest, darkest moments, and he's thinking, why do I always think interesting people are good people? Because he's literally the faithful dog following after all these prestigious Greek students. And I think it's a very good book in just describing how we can put people on pedestals and just how easy those pedestals are to knock down. In the end, I really love this book. I didn't like it as much as the Goldfinch because, like I said, it's a very slow book and it's set in one setting, the college. The Goldfinch, even though it has the same prose, is a good deal longer. But in that book, we're constantly moving, so we have like more action, it seems like. And oh my gosh, I loved the relationships in that book. Such a good friendship with Theo and Boris. Read The Goldfinch. I need to review that next. But I did end off this book not feeling like I took anything from it. I took a lot from The Goldfinch, even though towards the end of The Goldfinch, she started to finally get really rambly. It was kind of like preaching about, oh, this is the metaphor of my book, which kind of like dipped the quality down for me. But with this book, it begins, it happens, then it ends. No one really learns a lesson. So it really shows the different ways evil can win. And that's what makes it a really good read. So I do recommend it if you want like a nice book to kind of like chew slowly on, because my big like advice for Donna Tart is like keep your eyes peeled open, because she's throwing a lot at you, but it's like breathing. Short review for one of my favorite authors. I think it's her second book. I need to read The Little Friend, My Little Friend, My Little Pony, whatever it is. I hope if you're interested in some prose, some morally complex characters, and honestly the humor in this book was pretty spot on too. It was very dry, and that appeals to me all the ways. That's literally my favorite type of humor. Dry and sarcastic. Final note, this book is just great at showing the highs and the lows of human nature. Give it a read. Bye-bye. Stay reading, my friends.